Well, I have to say, the symptoms you're reporting are pretty concerning. We're going to have to take a closer look at your condition with some lab studies. That's alright, I just want to figure out what's going on. Of course, so we're going to need a CT of your abdomen, a respiratory panel to check for viruses, oh, and I'm going to need you to pee in this cup. You need me to pee in a cup? Of course. Why would I ever do that? Believe it or not, people have been looking at each other's piss samples for over 6,000 years, with the first recorded cases of urinalysis being in ancient Greece. Greek words like auron, which is urine, and skopeia, which is to examine or inspect closely, were used to create the word for uroscopy, which fittingly means a close examination of a urine sample. Urine is also a major part of the theory of humorism, a theory that stood well into the 1850s until germ theory came along and revolutionized medicine, but that's a topic for another video. In the theory of humorism, Hippocrates notes 4 things that leave the human body: blood, phlegm, black bile, which is generally stool, and yellow bile, or urine. Hippocrates was well known in his time for being able to diagnose and treat certain illnesses without ever having to look inside the body. He knew just by looking at the 4 elements listed what was wrong with a person. Each of the 4 humors is closely related to one of the 4 alchemical elements, which is earth, wind, fire, and water. In the case of urine, it was generally related to fire, and it was choleric, which means somebody who's a leader or someone who just gets things done. They're also a short-tempered person and they're easily angered, but it's said that choleric people, or people with a choleric personality, are dominant over the other 3 humors. Fun fact, the name for cholera, something that everybody has died to on the Oregon Trail, actually comes from the word choleric. Today, a standard urinalysis can be done with as little as 10 milliliters of urine, and samples are usually collected in plastic cups around the size of a pill bottle or shot glass. Preferably not a shot glass. Personally, I would never use that. But none of that answers the essential question of what exactly a urinalysis tells healthcare workers. Well, a lot of things. Liver function, kidney function, UTI possibility, pregnancy status, drug use, diabetes status, hydration levels, STIs. And it also provides use for diagnostic chemical tests such as protein tests, pH tests, ketone tests, glucose, bilirubin, nitrate, and leukocytes. Obviously, on a standard urinalysis, these aren't all going to be ordered, but it is interesting just the vast array of things that can be tested just from a urinalysis. When getting a new job, I, like many others, had to take a drug test to make sure I was clean before starting my job. These are one of the most common forms of urinalysis, and they're commonly referred to as a drug screening. Home pregnancy tests are a form of urinalysis that check for HCG hormones that present if a woman is pregnant. And the rest of the diagnostic tests may be used in a concoction based on the symptoms you describe when you present to an office. Have a weird color in your urine? They'll test you for dehydration, STI, UTI, or even kidney stones and type 2 diabetes. If diabetes is a major concern, they may also use a glucose test, and UTI is often accompanied by leukocyte and nitrate tests. One of the most interesting tests to me is the bilirubin test. Bilirubin is a yellowish pigment found in bile that is secreted by the liver, and if it is present in your urine, it means you may have some serious liver issues. Something that really surprised me is that urinalysis can actually help reveal heart failure through a protein test. Examining a urine under a microscope can also tell doctors information about your body. These tests go into much more detail, so it's not typical in an office, but these can include things such as red and white blood cell urine tests, which both involve a complete blood count, epithelial cell tests, where elevated levels of epithelial could indicate inflammation or deterioration of the urinary tract, or bacterial, parasite, and yeast tests, which are relatively self-explanatory, usually involving UTI or yeast infection, more common in female patients, of course. At some point in your life, you'll probably find yourself emptying into a cup because somebody told you to, for some purpose or another. But if you remember what you just learned, maybe you'll have other things on your mind besides the fact that someone just took a sample of your urine, and you can't control where it goes or what they do with it anymore. To me, urinalysis is one of the most fascinating lab tests just because of how much someone can find through the observation of simple urine. It's also crazy how people have been looking at piss for well over 5,000 years. Keep up the great work, medicine. You've got this. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoy the content. I'm glad this part didn't take near as long as the last one, and I have quite a few more ideas that I'm working on and will be developing more in the future. As always, let me know if you have any questions or ideas that you would like discussed in a future video. Also, I'll give the disclaimer again that I'm not a doctor nor a medical professional of any kind. I'm simply a student who's interested in showing others some interesting things related to medicine. My sources are listed in the video footnotes and in the description. For real this time, you can check, they're there. Thank you again, and I'll see you guys very soon.